Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating concept, the idea that building wealth isn't some rare talent you're just born with. Actually, it's all about highly accessible, daily micro habits. We're going to explore some incredible insights from a self-taught investor who, get this, built a six-figure portfolio by the age of 25 with absolutely zero formal financial education. She didn't do it overnight, and there was no massive trust fund. It was just tiny, consistent actions. So let's look at exactly how you can replicate that kind of invisible wealth in your own life. Right off the bat, let's shatter the ultimate financial literacy myth. Do you have to be rich to be financially literate? No way. Absolutely not. You do not need to be wealthy, you don't need to jump into day trading stocks, and you certainly don't need to speak fluent Wall Street jargon to master your money. Honestly, thinking you have to be a total expert just to get started is exactly what holds most of us back. Financial literacy is just built over time through small, repeated actions that easily slot into your everyday life. To make this super actionable, we've organized these 10 baby steps into 3 logical phases of transformation: gaining clarity, building knowledge, and finally, shifting mindset. Let's jump right into phase 1, gaining clarity. The very first microhabit is surprisingly simple. You just need to gain clarity by checking your bank balance on a regular basis. Maybe that's every other day, not obsessively checking it every single hour, but often enough that you know exactly what's coming in and what's going out. Now, I know it is totally natural to feel a bit scared to look at your balance, especially if things are a little tight right now. But staying in the dark just out of fear, that is an extremely expensive mistake. Ignorance leads to mindless spending, creeping into overdrafts, and getting hit with those painful late fees. Clarity is literally your first line of defense. And that brings us to the next habit, taking personal responsibility for your income by actually reading your payslip. It's super easy to just glance at the final number hitting your bank account, but trust me on this, understanding the deductions is absolutely vital. No one else is going to catch payroll mistakes for you. For instance, in the UK, a common tax code is 1257L. If your code is wrong, you could be overpaying or underpaying tax without even realizing it. Checking your payslip lets you monitor exactly what's going towards student loans and pension contributions. It basically takes the abstract idea of finance and shows you exactly how it impacts your personal reality. Now, what about the money going out? Well, you can totally elevate your budgeting by setting up a monthly money date ritual. Grab a journal, maybe pour yourself a nice drink, light a candle, and treat your personal finances like a business. Track and categorize your expenses. It's like a giant puzzle. You just divide them up into fixed expenses like rent that never really change, variable expenses like groceries that fluctuate, and one-off costs or sinking funds for future events like the holidays. Doing this every month means you are deeply connected to where your money is actually going, which completely removes the guesswork. Once we have that baseline clarity, we move seamlessly into phase 2, building knowledge. Look, you don't have to learn everything at once. Honestly, that's just a recipe for burnout. Instead, simply challenge yourself to research one financial concept per week. Just one. Terms like ISA, dividend, ETF, or compound growth. Take a whole week to digest different sources and truly understand that single term. For example, understanding what an ISA, an individual savings account is, can save you from a massive headache of future tax admin compared to just using a general investment account. A tiny bit of weekly research pays massive dividends down the road. Pun absolutely intended. To make all this learning practically effortless, try a psychological trick called habit stocking. This just means you don't need to block out brand new time in your day to learn. Instead, pair your money learning with an existing routine. Pop on highly accessible podcasts like Financial Hot Girl or The Curve while you're out for a walk, folding laundry, or commuting. You're stacking something you want to do onto something you already have to do. It makes financial education almost automatic. Which brings us to phase 3, shifting mindset. We kick off this mindset phase by creating a simple splurge versus save list. This completely proves that budgeting isn't about miserable restriction, not at all. Budgeting is actually about the intentional prioritization of your cash. It's about taking the money you save on things you don't really care about and directing it straight into the things you absolutely love. So for example, you can joyfully save on things that don't bring you value. Maybe that means cutting out fast fashion, those expensive daily coffees, or premium fitness classes. By cutting those out, you give yourself the freedom to unapologetically splurge on things you deeply care about, like traveling, amazing experiences, or a few pieces of really high-quality clothing. Your list might look completely different from this, and that's the whole point. It is all about aligning your money with your actual values.
And this leads perfectly into what might be the most powerful mindset shift of the whole shebang, calculating the real cost of a purchase in hours, rather than dollars or pounds. Let's say you earn an average salary of £30,000 a year. Your hourly rate is roughly £12. So if you want to buy a £495 designer bag, just divide the price by your hourly wage. The result? 40 hours. Buying that bag means trading an entire, exhausting 40-hour working week of your finite life. This formula forces you to ask, is this object really worth a week of my life? It's the ultimate reality check to stop impulse buying in its tracks.
Calculating that cost in hours naturally prevents lifestyle creep. You know, when your spending magically increases right alongside your income. Avoiding that creep leads us to our ultimate goal, which is perfectly captured by Morgan Housel in his book, The Psychology of Money. He says, wealth is what you don't see. It's a great reminder that true wealth is actually the invisible freedom, the unspent money, the time, and the optionality you build for your future. It's not the designer gear or the flashy cars. It is the absolute freedom of having a safety net. Ultimately, we have to bring these concepts out of the shadows. Gatekeeping financial knowledge and treating money like a taboo subject really only benefits employers and the people who are already at the top. Think about it. If nobody talks about salaries, the only person winning is the employer, who can easily underpay people. So your final microhabit is simply to break the taboo. Have an honest conversation with a trusted friend. Ask them what an index fund is. Talk about how you split bills with your partner. Discussing finances openly completely destroys the gatekeeping that holds so many of us back.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one vital question to ponder. Who are you going to have your first honest money conversation with? Seriously, think of one friend, colleague, or family member you trust. Send them a text today, spark that very first microhabit, and officially kickstart your journey toward invisible wealth. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this incredibly helpful roadmap. Now it's time for you to go out and put it into practice.